actor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Sia, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. Hi, everybody. I'm Ben, and this is Sia, and welcome to another episode of Gnaw on This. Now, this week, we're going to talk about going for the brass ring. Like, are we going for the brass ring and stepping on everybody's toes, everybody's head, everybody's shoulders, kicking people in places that they shouldn't be kicked, just so we can get that one brass ring? You know, when is enough enough? When are we in a situation where we can sit there and say, you know what, somebody else can have the brass ring this week? You know, this week I did it. I got everything I needed. This month I got it. This year I got it. This life I've got it. It's time to share. It's time to lead others. It's time to teach other people how to get to the brass ring. Or are we just sitting there going, more is better. There's never enough. And those who die with the most toys win. Sia, let's gnaw on this.
Oh, Ben. You know, every time we talk, I always get like songs in my head, and all that stuff.
Of course you do.
And it's funny, this time around, I didn't get a song, I got images. And it was that images of just hands crawling over each other and bodies just crawling over, and just that, reaching for that, fighting over that thing, which, by the way, turned out to be an elusive, intangible thing anyway, right? When I was in my corporate career life, I thought I had to climb the corporate ladder in order for me to sense fulfillment, career success, validation that I was, a bad, whatever. And now that I'm in that entrepreneurial mode, I would have answered it differently, truthfully, which is making me really gnaw on this, because it's like, why am I thinking differently? Now, that being said, in my pursuit of excellence, at 0 point in time did I feel like I needed to step on anyone, hurt someone, demean someone in order for me to get to that next level, steal, whatever. That's tough, man. I don't know if anyone will ever admit to it, but dude, the movie, what was that thing where, what's his name? It's an 80s movie. Greed is Good.
Yeah, greed is good. Gordon Gekko.
Yeah, Gordon Gekko saying greed is good.
Yeah.
But the fact that was celebrated and people acknowledged it means it did happen. Like, it does happen.
It happens all the time. I mean, I sit there and in boardrooms, and you can see the passive aggressive behavior of all these boardroom members that are sitting there going, okay, my budget's bigger than your budget. I'm closer to the CEO seat than you are. My team's bigger than your team. My project's better than your project. And it's all about this inverted, this diamond shaped thing going up to the top. And the closer you get to the pinnacle, the more people are sitting there going, I am close to that ultimate power, to that CEO seat. And therefore, I need to do whatever I can do to make sure that nobody else gets it before I do. And you see that with vice presidents. You see that with middle managers. You see that with, sales. You get sales teams. I mean, sales teams, you go into any sales room anywhere in the world, and they've got this board up on the table. And what it is, it's a pecking order. Mm-hmm. It's a pecking order. Who sold what this week? Or who sold what this month? And it's certainly sitting there going, who sold $1.5 million and who sold $300,000. And one gets celebrated, one gets all the attention, one gets all the kudos, and one gets, their papers handed to them. And everywhere you look at it in corporations, whether it's overt or covert, there are things that are being done, whether it be within budgets, whether it be within territories, whether it be within, the status of projects, etc., that lead to one group rivaling another. And a lot of times it's not done on purpose, but what it does is it leads to a dysfunctional culture.
It does. It 100. It leads to a not only dysfunctional but really toxic. Like,
Very much so.
because how could you assume anyone can grow and thrive and develop when you know the person sitting next to you is about to stab you in the back? It's like, I mean, look, I like acupuncture, but I mean, you can only take so many stabs in the back, people. Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
but not with a 6-inch Bowie knife.
Yeah, no, and it's twisting, right?
As it goes.
But okay, so we know that it's inherently bad, but it keeps happening. So Ben, why? Why? What's the motivation of someone that would want to do this?
As I said, I think it comes down to how companies are structured and how leadership is structured. And it comes down to budgets, and it comes down to status of projects, and it comes down to my department's bigger than your department, or my department, is more important than your department, and a lot of it comes down to how people are compensated. A lot of it comes down to internal communication, and it all comes down to compensation.
I was just gonna say,
And
ding, 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 ding. Where's the money
you look
coming
at
from?
what's the departments that are paid the least? Guess what? They have the smallest budgets and they have the least amount of power. Thank you, HR. Look at the company things like sales. Sales rocks the world, because if sales is bringing in million, 10 million, $100 million clients, whether they're acting like assholes or not, people will put up with them if they're bringing in big checks and big logos.
If there's assumption of
Whether
value,
it's right or wrong,
right? Value, right? Whether
that's the value.
Good, bad, or indifferent. Look, people, we understand that is the function of sales, is to basically pay for everyone's paycheck, more or less, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really it. Of course,
except for your marketing, and marketing thinks, to some extent, it's becoming more and more in a digital age. Marketing thinks it's sales can only sell because marketing's done what marketing's done. And then you lead into the animosity between the sales and the marketing teams. Hey, listen, they're both going to argue with each other. I think they both need each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. But you know what? That fight's been going on for as long as I've been playing this game, and it'll be going on long after I'm dead.
I think it's as long as the second the first caveman decide to sell a rock to another one. I think that's when it started. Exactly. People. So
exactly.
Full respect, cave people. I don't know if I should cover my butt on that one, but yeah, no, I think so. Okay, so
I'm in marketing and sales. I can fight both sides of this battle.
Well, okay, can we talk about marketing and sales just real quick? I know, because that's a brass ring. I think that's a fun brass ring conversation, because
absolutely
that's our both backgrounds, right? So, oftentimes you see marketing sales lumped together, right? There'll be a CMO, but then there's also VP of sales,
a CRO,
or Chief Revenue Officer, right?
Yeah.
But let's imagine if you and I let's play devil's advocate. So, which one do you want? I'll be sales and you can be marketing, just for giggles.
Sure. Why not?
Why not? So we're talking to the CEO, and she's saying, guys, here's the deal. We're going into a recession, harkening back to a previous show.
Exactly.
Talking about, hey, are we manufacturing our own downfalls with our own downfall mentality? What was the words we were using? I forgot.
Yeah, well, quit going down the spiral. Let's get back to sales and marketing.
Sales marketing. Hey, so revenue's down. We're in a recession. Should we fire? Who should we fire? We got to fire. As our own business now have to fire, or one of us has to fire. How would we respond? How would you respond?
Well, first of all, both get fired. Let's be honest about it. Both of them are going to get fired, because the CFO is going to sit there and say, well, we could get rid of 10 salespeople and 12 marketing people, and look at the money we're going to save, because we don't need them, because we're in a down economy, so people aren't buying anyway, which is the last thing that needs to be happening. But we'll have that conversation another way. But marketing, his viewpoint is look. It says, if we don't keep marketing, we'll never get out of this slump. If people don't see us on a long-term basis and don't see the value of our brand on a long-term basis, they're not buying today, but they're going to buy 6 months from now. And if we're not marketing, they're going to buy from somebody else in 6 months.
So that's great. And I hear you, But as a chief revenue officer, I'd say, yeah, that's great. You can message all you want, but we own the relationships. We're the ones that have been on the feet on the street, and we're the ones that have been hustling day in, day out, building rapport with people who may have never even heard the messaging ever.
Mm-hmm.
But because of our relationships and our ability to deliver and follow through and provide value to our clients is why
Mm-hmm.
revenue should not get fired. So marketing, I'm going to throw you guys under the bus because I do not want to lose one person. Because if I lose one person, that's more revenue that I cannot achieve. And I'm going to have to put pressure on my other team to deliver when there's a huge gap there. And not only that, I have to run interference with my client who like, oh, I loved Billy, I loved Mary, and you just let them go.
So I'm going to go wherever Billy or Mary go.
And there's that run that risk. So as a chief revenue officer, I could see where they would argue marketing needs to go, right?
And that's what I'm saying. They're both stepping on each other's nose to be
Tough.
able to reach for the bass ring, where the
Tough.
bass ring is taking care of the client
And
bringing money in the table. And if sales and marketing both work towards how do we take care of the customer? How do we communicate value to the customer? How do we enable the customer to feel that they have value with us as an organization? And they did it together. Then they can throw the CFO under or customer experience under they can throw somebody else under the bus. But what they'll do is we keep infighting because we're so worried about our own little budget that we forget that the budget expands when everybody works together.
It could, yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, I think it was like the previous, podcast when we were talking about self-fulfilling prophecy and all that stuff is, maybe understanding that the budgets will be reduced, but let's get creative. Keep the resources that you have, maybe realign and re-look at the scope. So maybe that moves the brass ring or eliminates, quote, brass ring too. And I think that's something to think about, guys. Ultimately, I think that message to me, and now I'm moving on to another tangent, which is maybe that brass ring that everyone's searching, like it's like El Dorado, all right? There's no city of gold.
The lost gold is not really there.
Exactly. But what if it's the journey and that experience is gold? Maybe that's what it is. And so changing perception. So while people are trying to climb that corporate ladder, yeah, there's going to be titles and whatnot. But what does it mean that that title is in that same company? Maybe it's with a different organization. Maybe it's in a different role altogether. Right.
I mean, but the trouble is, especially when you're dealing with public corporations and large corporations, they're beholden to shareholders. They have stock prices. They have shareholders. They have VC. If you're VC funded, then you got a whole different set of responsibilities. And the thing is to keep share price up. And how do you keep share price up? You fire 50 people. And that's the easy way to do it. It's a gut reaction. The gut reaction is we're not bringing revenue in. We need to be able to find money. Oh, good. These 50 people, they're now on the street because it's cheaper to pay them off and get them off the payroll than it is to be able to float them for the next year. And I think it's the limited mentality of, we're just going to keep doing what we've always done. So we're always going to get what we do. But if we change the conversation, if we change the scope, if we change the game, and we start sitting there going, okay, how can we refocus as an organization to go after new markets, to create different opportunities, to go after clients we've never even talked to before? That's how we get creative, and that's how organizations win as a whole. Instead of we'll just get rid of 10 people here, 5 people here, 8 people here, 9 people over there. Okay, great, we made our revenue number.
Right. So if I'm going to take away this conversation then, because you're really making me think about this, because, initially when you think about like, why are you stepping on people to get ahead in your career? And then in the context of corporate environment, as well as personal environment, really ultimately is have you stopped and slowed down to figure out what it is that you're chasing over? What are you chasing? Is that something where if you just tweaked your perception, does it become a different path altogether, where instead of like climbing up the same ladder, maybe it's a rope, right?
Yeah, and maybe I think there's an elevator around the corner you didn't even know about.
And you're really making me think in the context of, like I said, chasing that elusive whatever, brass ring, goal post, whatever. The odds are also high too. once you achieve it and you get there, there's going to be another goalpost anyway. So why be miserable and take other people down and have them remember you as being an a-hole than anything else? So yeah, I'm going to argue, yeah, we know no one wants to be thought of as an a-hole in the pursuit of excellence, but it does happen. Perhaps maybe if we can change the game, change the narrative is to say, change your perspective, you can still achieve your goal, perhaps a different route.
And we also need to take a look at the fact, is it systemic or is it an individual?
Mm-hmm.
Is the system causing people to act the way they are, or are people acting the way they are because of the system?
Fight the power.
Got to change the process to change the opportunity. So I think that's a great place. I think that's a great place to leave this.
Absolutely. You were just getting me excited because I am always a rule breaker. If I can do a little anarchy every now and then, it's like good. I think every now and then a little bit of anarchy helps keeps people on their toes. So thank you very much for having me enjoy that moment.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm Ben.
And I'm Sia.
We'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not On This, Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Not On This, Business Bites.